Hello everybody. Also, if you see my phone, I'm using it as a microphone because the microphone that I got didn't work. So it does like this weird thing in the middle of recording where it makes weird things. So instead I'm just using my phone for now until I can get a new one. Today we're going to talk about a few things that I feel like if you're thinking of having a baby, or if you have a baby on the way, or just in general if you already have a baby, we can just kind of talk about it. It's some of the things you don't think about, or I guess don't fully realize until you have one, what it does or how it affects you or whatever. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I hope the phone isn't a distraction. It's just so that way while my daughter is sleeping and because we have the AC on, you can actually hear me. But let's get started. The biggest thing that I really want to touch the light on is how hard postpartum can hit you or not. It's a thing that some women get. It's a thing that some women don't. I got it pretty hard. I got harder than I even thought I was. I was already preparing for me to get postpartum just for the fact that I had been dealing with depression for most of my life. But even if you don't suffer from depression, you can get postpartum. I'm saying all of this to scare you. I just think having the proper preparation for it so that way you can get the resources that you may need is a good idea, just to have it in the back of your head just in case. After you do have your baby, you will go back to the doctors, and the doctors will kind of bring this up because they are prepared for every woman to get postpartum. So just be honest with your doctor and they will help you through it. You can also then go to therapy or whatever is needed. But I honestly think really thinking that this is a possibility, and don't just think that you're not going to get it because you don't have anything, like any kind of mental health issues. Be prepared. The other thing to kind of go with that is everyone knows that having a baby is obviously going to change your life, but just the reality of how much it's going to change your life, how much you have to change things because now there is a baby present. Like now, this isn't normally how I film YouTube videos. I normally have a huge, like a better setup, and I don't have to I don't want to say rush it because I'm not full on rushing it, but it is a little bit rushed more than what I used to do. I used to be able to plan out videos a lot more and take more time, but there's just things that you have to do differently because there's a baby, because you have to go around their time. I do everything I can while she's sleeping or if she's watching her show, but if she needs attention, you have to stop what you're doing and go to them. This isn't to say that you're not going to get to do the things that you still want to, because that is still going to happen. You can still make the parts of your life where it is about you and you have that time for yourself. But just know it is quite a life changer, and I feel like I prepared for it all my pregnancy. I prepared to be like, my baby's going to come first no matter what, I'm going to have like a quarter of the time for myself that I used to have. But it really hits, and it really, like for me, it became frustrating because it's like you can't find this time for yourself that you kind of need. You need some time for yourself as well, even when you do have a baby. And it's very, very hard to learn that until they kind of get into a rhythm, especially when they're newborn. They eat every 3 hours or so, depending on your baby. There's like no time in the day for yourself when they're eating that constant. What's nice about it though is that they would sleep more, so whenever they're sleeping you could do stuff, but you barely had any time, if that makes sense. So my biggest thing is just don't be afraid by this. You still can find time for yourself, but just be ready for it to get frustrating, because like I said, until like with her, she is up a bit more, but I can put her in her seat or a bouncer or something and she can watch a show while she's still playing with stuff, and I can get more stuff done. I think the most frustrating part is I had no time to like take care of myself, which is where kind of the postpartum depression came for me, is because you're so consumed by this baby that you kind of forget how to take care of yourself. At least I did. But it's finding that healthy balance of being able to take care of yourself and your child. And it's not easy, and that's what people don't realize. The other thing that isn't too talked about is how after birth your body goes through a lot of changes. Your body was just your stomach was just stretched out to like its max in a way. After you give birth, it kind of just goes flat, and the thing is that muscle has to work back up to get your body to where it used to be. So for a little bit you just have this like weird stretched out stomach there, the muscles aren't working because they worked differently when you were pregnant than before you were pregnant, and now they have to learn how to readjust and go back. So you have to prepare for your body to definitely obviously change. The other thing that kind of goes on with like the whole postpartum and all of that is how much help you really need. When people say it takes a village to raise a baby, it's not a joke. It really isn't. I know I've always needed a lot of help. If you see me looking over there, it's because my daughter will move every now and then, and I need to know if she gets up or not. So the help of the entire family and everybody. Like, the first time postpartum hit me, I just wanted to do it myself. I wanted to be an amazing mom, and I thought that's what it took, is that I had to do it all myself and nobody could touch her, because if I wasn't doing it, I wasn't doing my part as mom. It's okay to be like, hey, I need like 5 minutes to just, you know, be me for a second, or like step back for a second. And don't think you're being bad mom or bad dad, bad parent, whatever. Everybody needs a little break from time to time, and it's okay to ask for it, because honestly, the help that you'll need is insane, especially being a first-time mom. I really didn't know what I was getting into. You think you do, you think you're prepared, and then it hits and you're like, oh, it's a lot more than I thought. So don't be afraid to ask for help. The other thing is, when I said they kind of get into a routine, is don't be prepared for the routine to always be the same nonstop. And what I mean by this is every week can be a little bit different. So like one week she sleeps through the night, or even like a few days. It's not always a week, but like a few days she could sleep through the night, and then the next night she's getting up at 3 a.m., 5 a.m. They kind of set themselves into a routine where they eat, they play for a little bit, go to bed. But just know this isn't always in the exact same times. Sometimes she does not want to take that nap. She wants to be up and play. And I know there's a lot of parents that try to follow their kids into a routine. I'm not really going to force her into any kind of set routine. Don't think I'm attacking you. You do what's best for you and your kid. For me and my daughter, it's better to, I think she's waking up, to just kind of go with the flow and see what she does, what she wants. She's been doing this thing where she takes 10-minute naps, or she takes 2 hours. You just never know. Let me go get her. Like, for example, right now, she's fighting a nap. Whereas before, she would take them, no problem. So don't get set into the routine is going to always be the same. Biggest thing that I kind of want to touch light on is how you feed your baby. Whether you formula feed, whether you breastfeed, it's completely up to you, and it's whatever is correct for you and your child. Don't let people be like, oh, if you don't breastfeed, like, you're a terrible mom, you're not giving her what she actually needs. There's women out there that can't get enough supply of breast milk, so they have to formula feed. In my case, I had to formula feed for personal health reasons, that it could be hard to make that choice because of how the people are out there and how they may see you. But just do what's best for you and your child. Don't. The other thing, this is kind of something you don't hear a lot about, at least I never did until I had my daughter, is that extra spit up is actually okay. It's not bad. The only time that it's bad is if they're like throwing it across the room. But having a little bit of extra spit up, like just casually, and they're obviously not in pain, they're just having a little bit more spit up. My daughter does it. She's been doing it since birth. So the last two things are about baby clothes, and specifically when they're like newborn. One thing that I have is don't get buttons as sleepers for newborns, because they're up so often. Buttons are just extremely annoying, and sometimes you can't get them all the way, sometimes they don't come undone. You never know the case. So personally, I suggest slippers, and the other part is the ones with like the little footies on them. So like it's the whole onesie, or whole sleeper, I guess you would say. That way you don't have to put socks on them. Keeping socks on a newborn is the hardest game you'll ever play, I promise. And also those buttons at like 2 a.m., 1 a.m., whatever time in the morning you don't want to be up but have to be, is the hardest game you'll ever play too. And to go along with that is to buy a few newborn clothes. I suggest, no matter what, buy like 2 or 3 newborn stuff. My baby was 8 pounds, 4 ounces coming out, and she wore newborn clothes. My baby wore it for, I think, 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, and then she was in 0 to 3. I do recommend having quite a bit of 0 to 3 ready to go, because they won't be a newborn for very long, unless your baby just takes a little bit longer to grow, which is not like an issue at all or something to be worried about. But like my baby wasn't in it very long. I think she wore every outfit maybe once. Getting more sleepers, like have a few onesies that are cute for pictures or whatever, but you mainly want to keep them warm at that young of an age. So especially if you have like them in the fall or in the winter time, like I would suggest just getting sleepers for newborns. But that's all I have for you guys. If you have any more as a first-time mom, or just as a mom to give tips for first-time moms, definitely leave them down below. Also hit that thumbs up if you like more videos like this and I can do some more. And also hit the subscribe button if you want to join our journey. We will see you next time. You want to wave? Yeah, we haven't fully learned that yet. We'll do the wave. Yeah?